Hey, y'all just gonna kick off the show, and then I'll come in and take over.
So we'll get it kicked off?
Y'all kick it off, I'll come in and...
Okay, that's fine. That works great.
Good morning, Houston. Welcome to another episode of the Massive Passive Show. We're coming to you live from our two-day event at our normal location. We've got Pat and Cal here with us right now. We're going to be kicking the show off presently. Go ahead, Pat.
Good morning, Houston. This is Pat Reisinger with Massive Passive Deal Makers. This show is brought to you every week by our vendors who support our show.
Yes, sir.
I got one of them sitting here with me, Cal Barron with Longhorn Lending. Today's show, let me tell you about today's show. We have an event here today at the Untitled where we're doing this at 1001 West Loop South. And it's to teach people all kinds of good stuff. It says, today's show, we will be addressing some key and common questions we often get asked: finding buyers, finding money or deals, how to price a flip, whether you are wholesaling, flipping, buying, and holding. No matter where you are in your journey, this will be the show you will want to make. Sure, you tune in to the whole time, right? And it goes on and on and on. But the real key to what we do is we help investors and even homeowners, make right decisions in buying houses and working on them. So anyway, there's a lot going on here at the Massive Passive. Our show is brought to you by Cal Barron with Longhorn Lending. He's here with me right now.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It's just a pleasure to work with these guys. We're trying to bring the information about how easy it is to get into the real estate game and how to use leverage money, other tips like that. So I really appreciate being a part of this show.
Yeah, and also thanks you, Cal. And Cal's going to be talking more later, too, so stay tuned because Cal's got some great information. Cal not only is the representative and closer here for Longhorn Lending, but he also is an investor. So, you're getting a company that is run by a guy that knows the business because he's in this business.
Absolutely.
Also, we have Clint Yates with Direct Mortgage Loans. Clint's been with me for many years. We've been friends, and he's helped me with deals. Matter of fact, I needed to cash out on my house to pay off some debt that I had incurred, and he got me an AM at 3% interest for the money that I needed.
Wow.
So of course my house is worth about $450. I only needed $70,000, and so it was nothing to do that AM because you're going to pay rent somewhere anyway.
Yeah, I think that's just jumping into that. I think that in today's climate, a lot of people have some equity in their own home. This might be an opportunity to go cash out, bring some of that equity to play. That's a great time to utilize that equity to possibly leverage, go out and maybe flip some houses for more cash, maybe get some rentals, build some wealth while we're in this period.
Absolutely. And I've learned a lot in this business since I've been in it for the last 16 years. I was a retail contractor and I got turned on to this business through running the projects for a hard money lending company and a home investor franchise, which brought a whole new world to me because I'd been in the retail business, and I learned that it's you buy wholesale and you make your money when you buy the house, actually. Because every house has to be remodeled and sold or something done with it if you're going to keep it. And so it's all about making money or doing what we teach is long-term wealth, right?
Absolutely, and that's the cool thing about the Alamo RIA. No matter where you are at in life, the ability to understand and learn these concepts. They don't teach these in school, unfortunately. And these are the concepts of wealth building, and it's certainly in the last 5 to 7 years has changed our family dynamic tremendously. So, I just can't say enough about being a part of Alamo RIA and getting involved.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, our engineer had to leave the room, so we're not going to be able to pick up Clint right away. Hopefully, I'll get him on later. But Clint's a great guy, and he's a big part of this program that we have. Also, we have Mansour. We're at Transact Title producing this show, and they give us this room to use, and which is great because we have our events here. Plus, when we have our events here, we broadcast the radio show from here. It's really cool. Hal Gailey is our computer tech. He's with BioCity Techs, and listen, all these vendors are on our website. And our website, write this down. It's really easy to remember: MassivePassiveShow.com, and you can get Cal, you can get me, you can get Hal Gailey, our computer tech. Even if you're just a homeowner and you have a computer, you need Hal, because if you get a virus, he can repair your computer from his office by doing a thing he has called AnyDesk. And he's worked on my computer. I can't tell me how many times I've called him, or my wife called him, or we've been building something like a Facebook page for my art or whatever. And he works right from his office and fixes everything we need. And in a matter of minutes, it takes us all day to do.
Yeah, phenomenal job that he's doing for the club here. But yeah, I mean, once again, I think that the interesting thing is this body of knowledge, the ability to get into real estate, leverage, create wealth. It's just something that's not being taught, in the school systems. And I learned it late in life, and I think it's super important. It's just something to add to your wealth building toolbox. Whether you're just starting out in your career, or if you're looking towards retirement. I mean, there's so many avenues in this world,
right?
And that's what's cool is every time we're doing a loan, every time we're involved in a deal, we're moving a family's wealth forward, and for that, I'm just truly thankful. It's
right.
So great to be a part of.
Well, the thing that Cal does as a hard money lender, he loans you the money to buy the property and remodel it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then they loan it roughly about 70% to the after repaired value.
That's correct.
And we use this terminology, and if you're new or if you're thinking about being in this business, the first word you'll learn in this business is ARV.
Absolutely. It's one of the most important word for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think, skinning it back, I know that a lot of new people get, there's terms and all these things that you get caught up on, but I think that the reality of it is if you have, $1 million in the bank and you want to go go buy rentals, you could do that. You could go put 20% down and buy rentals. But, at some point you're going to run out of money. You're going to freeze up a lot of money. What we do is we leverage money. So we show you how to reduce that money that this is not a 20% down world. We're going to show you how to purchase a home, rehab it for a lot less cash out of your pocket to create that profit or capital gain that you'll need in the future. So it's all about either creating cash or creating wealth, and that's what I love. Like I say, everyone who embraces this, moves their life forward in some way,
right.
Maybe, and I don't know how that is. Maybe it frees up time for you, if you spent more time with your family, if you spent more time on less time on your regular job. I mean, that's a benefit. So, there's lots of different, I know for us personally, my family, it's been freeing in terms of we actually are facing retirement. We were, able to retire.
Right.
I was in a career path where that wasn't going to happen. So
well, the cool thing about what we do here, Cal, is that we have all these tools in place right here with Massive Passive. I'm like the vendor rep. I got all this thing going, and got vendors to pay for the show. But not only did they pay for the show, they're vendors that I've known and used now for the last 16, 18 years, right? And the cool thing is that we got, for instance, Clint, he does long-term money, and he's also a home investor now, so he gets deals and brings them to the plate. But what we do is we get with you, and you come. Let's say, for instance, Pat, I need some help. and then I'll go look at the property, and we say, okay, look, it's a deal. We've got the ARV. We know what the repair numbers are. And so what we need to now is make sure you have your exit strategy, right? Well, what we do first, before we even start looking for those deals, we get you pre-approved with Clint for by your income and what you can afford to pay, right?
Absolutely,
And
yeah,
then-
for the long-term loans.
That's right, because
in a
if
rental
you're in this deal with hard money, you have to have an exit strategy, because that Longhorn lending and all these hard money lenders, basically, you're in it for like 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and there's a time limitation. And each time you go over that limitation, you have to pay more interest, because that means the loan has to go on further with you. And because they're paying either investors or banks interest on that money, and the banks want that money turned around so they can loan it to someone else, right?
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, if you're going to flip a house, then that's super simple and super easy. But it is important to get pre-qualified for both a short-term solution as well as a long-term. And, that's super easy to do. It's free to do. And, we'll show you all those tools when you involve yourself with the Alamo RIA. We'll show you all those tools and more, and ways to really change your life if you put these tactics into play.
Well, I'm fixing to pull out of here, and I'm gonna turn this over to James and Hal. But go to MassivePassiveShow.com, and we'll ask you a few questions like, what's your name? You have an email address and your phone, and we're not doing that to spam you. We do not spam people. Matter of fact, Ray and I patrol our Facebook pages all the time and remove spammers, because we don't want those people, hacking on you and bugging you for stuff that's not, real estate related, right?
Absolutely.
And so be sure to go to MassivePassiveShow.com. And the reason we want your information is it will send you stuff like when we have this event, right? And we have other events going on, and we have our general meeting every month, so we want you to know about that stuff. But as far as hounding you for money and all that stuff, you will not get that from us. So be sure and put your information in there so we can stay in contact with you. And y'all have a great time, and do not do this alone.
Absolutely.
Get help.
Thank you, Pat. Yeah, it's amazing being able to come into a RIA. It's a very, very small investment in terms of being involved in this, and the what you're going to learn and the outcome of that is just, the value is unbelievable. So I would encourage people to get involved, understand more about this game, and we have virtually every resource available to get you started in the flipping game, in the hold rentals for wealth game. And then, there's even more in, possible investments, passive investments behind real estate. There's just so much to it. Whatever level you seek in real estate, it's always going to bring value to you. It's a proven methodology. It's not, the risk is limited, and it's pretty awesome. So once again, encourage you. We're doing a training this weekend, for 2 days. You want to talk a little bit about that? This is, go ahead.
Yes, this is James Haney. Should be a familiar voice. I was a little bit late getting to the show today because we had some technical difficulties, and we are on site, like he was saying. We're doing our wealth training boot camp. It's all about real estate investing, and that's what I was actually wanting to talk about on the show today.
Sure.
Is because we get asked quite often, a lot of, questions. And some of them are key questions, and they're the same questions.
Right.
And so I wanted to take this opportunity today and address some of those. So whether you're wholesaling or you're flipping, you're just getting started, or you're on the fence, you're like, can I do this? This is a crazy hot market. Is it, I see people flashing, $50,000, $100,000 checks. Is it really possible? And yes, it is. And so I want to talk a little bit about on the show today, how to get there and how to, get started, and some key things that you really need to do. Because the fact of the matter is, there's a lot that you really have to do but there's certain things that you should do in the beginning right away, and then there's other things that you can do as you go.
Yeah, I always look at it. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. you got to break it down and get to the basic pieces that you need. If you're overwhelmed and then you move into a mode of fear, that's not the place you want to be. And we try to minimize that through this club and through the activities that we're doing.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that I got on my notes here today to talk about was get connected. That's really the first thing.
Absolutely.
After you make that decision, get connected. Here's an example. If I go out and find a house today, and I need $300,000 to buy that house and rehab it. Well, if I either don't have the money in my account, or I don't want to use my money, or my money is tied up in another deal, well, I know that I can call Cal and say, hey, I need this money for this deal, or I can call another person in my network. Ray actually just bought a house about 10 days ago. Well, that's literally what he did. He picked up the phone and called one of his guys in his network and said, hey, I need to buy this house.
It's amazing. And, it's amazing how really easy the money part of this game is. A lot of people get caught up on that, but truly, money is one issue, and we certainly have lots of strategies to beat that one. I think you don't want to let money be the part of your fear, because really, while it does take money to possibly invest, there's so many ways to do this. Even if you didn't have any money, you could joint venture, you can wholesale. I mean, there's so many avenues. So that's what's cool. I mean, regardless of where you are, financially today, this is an opportunity to build a plan for the future.
Well, and that goes for whether you're wholesaling or flipping or whatever it is. It goes back to those old cliches. When the student's ready to learn, the teacher will be there to teach. Build the field, they'll come and play. Same thing. When you have a deal, the money will be there, whether it's, you're going to buy it yourself, or whether you're looking for a buyer or a partner. Absolutely. The money's there. One of the things I've got in my notes for today is, I'm very passionate about this. We stress about, moving from the wholesaling to the buying and holding strategy as quick as you can. And sometimes we come across as anti-wholesaling, but that is farthest from the truth. It's only wholesale when it's necessary, only flip when it's necessary. You look at the deal and let the deal tell you what to do. And there's some other factors that go into there. There's some personal situations you may have where you might need to wholesale it, but as long as your mindset is, hey, I want to get to where I'm buying and holding as quick as possible, because that's where true wealth is built. And so I want to take a minute and talk to the wholesalers and the new wholesalers. Is one of the most common questions I get, or most of the common things I see, is people scared to go get a property under contract because they don't have buyers, or they want to go line up their buyers and then they want to go get, start going and trying to get houses under contract. No. Get the house under contract. Right. Make sure it's a deal, but get it under contract. And if you get a deal, buyers will show up.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's another thing that I think is super important in the club. There's so many experienced people here that know how to find deals, and they're going to teach you how to find deals. And so that's huge in this marketplace. Especially in this marketplace today, finding the deal. So, I love the fact that there's some very experienced people here that know how to, work foreclosures or work the different arenas. I mean, that's what's really cool. I believe, at least a great cool part of the club is just that knowledge base as well.
So if you are, finding yourself in a situation where you're looking at deals, or you want to look at deals, but you're not sure, first and foremost, mark your calendars for February 12th, and go to massivepassiveshow.com. All of our information is there, whether it's our Facebook groups, our YouTube channel, or any information about us, our upcoming events, is at massivepassiveshow.com. Even Cal's information is there. And I was just told a few minutes ago that Clint, one of our other vendors, he's also going to be calling in. He is another money source as well for your long term. And one of the things that I would highly recommend, even if you're wholesaling or just getting started, is reach out to Cal, reach out to Clint, and get yourself pre-qualified or get to know what it is that you need, so that when you do come across that deal, you can have that confidence to pull the trigger. So I'm now being told that Clint is on the line, so I'm going to thank Cal for being here. I think he's actually going to go do a presentation in front of our class today here at the boot camp that we've got going on. So
it was a pleasure, and once again, I just can't say enough about Alamo RIA. Get involved. It doesn't matter at what level. It's going to benefit you and your family. This knowledge base is for real. And regardless, of who you are or what you're doing now, you're just going to add to your weaponry. Come out, show up for the meeting on the 12th of February. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Cal. It's always a pleasure to have you. Great guy. We're going to talk to another great guy. Clint, how are we doing today?
We're good. I've been listening to what you guys are saying, and I agree with all of it.
I appreciate that. Not sure how long you've been on hold or how long you've been listening, but today has been a day not out of the ordinary. It's always fun and crazy when we have a meeting or a class going on at the same time that our radio show happens. So glad to have you, and glad to have you a part of this. Go ahead and introduce yourself and your company.
Hey, so Clint Yates, direct mortgage loans, and we really specialize in the long term, whether it be your home you want to live in for primary or investments. We work with a ton of investors throughout Houston, and we're really there to help you hold properties. Kind of like what they were touching on earlier, money is for investors is a fairly easy thing right now. There's a lot of money out there. If you have decent credit and some reserves, you're going to be able to get a long-term loan, whether you want to hold it in your company name or your personal name. So it's, get out there and find the deals, and yes, the money will be there should you find the deal.
And Clint, me and you were having a conversation at our last meeting, and kind of got interrupted a little bit. Didn't quite get to the end of it, but you were actually, walking me through, like if I were to want to go buy a personal house for myself, you were kind of walking me through the, quote unquote, pre-qualification process so that I could have an idea. Of course, there has to be an application, and there has to be, the whole 9 yards, to get that done. But just so that I know that, hey, I should be looking at a certain, I want to be looking at, $230,000 houses instead of, $450,000 houses if I'm not going to qualify for it. I want to be able to spend my time wisely and look at the right ones, so that I'm not wasting my time and I'm not wasting Clint's time either.
Yep. So, obviously I bring it to you. I'll run you how to figure out a debt to income ratio for your primary home. But what, kind of speaking directly for investors in this group, what the beauty right now with investment loans, let's say if you're self-employed and you don't show much income, they have a program. If your lease agreement covers your mortgage payment, which that's what you should want if you're holding a property, that's it. That's your only income documentation you need. So it's pretty simple to know if you can get a long-term loan. As long as your lease is covering the mortgage payment, decent credit, you're good to go.
And Clint, you are an investor yourself, correct?
Yep. I flip homes, I hold rental properties, and do the long term. And I've been doing it since 01, 02. So, yep, I've been around, seen the ups and downs, and kind of too can touch on, is this the right time to buy? If you're in it for the long term, yes. There's never a wrong time if you're in this thing for the long term.
Yeah, and the reason that I asked that question, even though I pretty much knew the answer, is the fact that it's just like having if you're going to have surgery or something, you don't want just a general surgery. If you're having brain surgery or heart surgery, you want that specialty person to be doing that surgery. And it's the same thing, with a lender. If that lender is an investor, they're going to be thinking exactly how you are, and they're going to be in the know of what you need to be looking for. Even if you overlook something, they'll be there to say, hey, you forgot to look at this. And they'll definitely have your back, and they want to get you in a deal that is going to make sense and that is not going to hurt you in the long run.
Yep, we've done pretty good to at least just, especially for the long-term holds, know what type of maybe rental property. Once again, I'm not 100% accurate, but it's my opinions of what good areas and what type of property to hold some good rentals in.
So what are just a couple of things that you personally look for in an investment property? And when, like, say, for example, if an investor comes to you and they want to buy a particular property, what are some of those things that you personally look at? And I ask that because, we just had Cal here and on the show, and, we also have Ray, who's one of our primary mentors and coaches and everything. But everybody, when they get asked this question, they typically give mostly is the same, but there's always one little piece in there that's slightly different. So what is it that you look for?
Okay, so for me, and I have two types. I have a 10-unit apartment complex, and then everything else is single family. And the 10-unit cash flows, but it takes the most time away from me. So that's not my favorite. I look for brick, ranch, 3-2 homes. And I'm a big Section 8 guy. I love Section 8. I know what zip codes pay more for monthly rent. So that's really what I focus on is Section 8, certain zip codes, 3-2 brick ranches. Why I love them is once you get them in, it's cruise control. You don't have the phone calls and the maintenance issues that, say, my 10-unit has. My 10-unit, I seem like I'm on the phone every day with some type of problem. Mm-hmm. So I'm, even though I have the multifamily and I know people talk about the cash flow, but it's labor intensive. So I'm a big 3-2 brick ranch, and I love Section 8. I'm a big Section 8 landlord. When COVID hit and everyone was worried about rents, I was able to sleep pretty good at night because I knew my rents were coming in.
Yeah, and see, that's another example. I had the privilege a few years ago of meeting somebody that specializes in short sales. And short sales, that's a whole nother, hornet's nest and everything like that. A lot of investors run away from that. Because sometimes short sales can take forever. They can be, just crazy, stressful, and I hear some of the same things, as far as Section 8 goes. But then we talk to a guy like Clint who absolutely loves it, and I just like that perspective there.
Yeah, it's same thing. I've heard they're worried about you tearing up a property. Anybody can tear up your property, whether it's Section 8 or a regular tenant. But generally, they're getting free housing. If they mess something up, they're going to get kicked off the program. So I always, generally they're not going to want to mess up free. So like I said, that's primarily what I stick to. I've never had an issue of tearing up anything. And if anything, they stay. They don't move. I have Section 8 tenants that have been in my places since 05 and 06. Mm-hmm.
So, Clint, I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask, pretty much a question that a lot of people get asked that have been investing for a while. But if you could go back to yourself back when you first started investing, you're going back to your past self, like from your future, what would you tell yourself? In other words, how would you do it? Would you do it any differently, or is there one thing that you would change?
If you're in it, I'll say, if you're in it for the long term, don't worry so much about, I don't know, I'm going to say getting, say, a great deal in the moment. And I guess what I mean by that is back in 05 and 06, some of these 3.2s were at 60,000, and I'm like, oh, I got to get it for 30 or 40. Gosh, I wish I could own all those at 60,000 now, because those are $200,000 homes. So I kicked myself. I didn't buy more because I was trying to get a little more off the purchase price when they were already a pretty good price.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we focus on is you don't necessarily have to get, if you're swinging for the fences on every deal, and you're going for that grand slam home run on every single deal, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a while.
Yep.
Now, if the pitcher, they throw you an 85 mile an hour, slider, and they leave it over the plate and it's there, take it, go ahead and hit it out of the park. But don't try to do that every single time. Base hits and singles and doubles are just as good. And sometimes, like we've been stressing, if you're in it for the long haul, if you get a double, that's over the long haul, that's just as good as a home run.
Yep.
So
when you go through these spikes right now that we're in, those singles turn into a home run pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, one of the things that we've got, like in our that we were talking about for when we were putting this event together for today and tomorrow, the people that owned. Now think about this. Just take 20 single-family properties, 20 properties. If you owned 20 properties over the past 2 to 3 years, 2 years. The last 2 years in appreciation alone, those investors that owned 20 properties, their net worth increased like $1 million, $2 million. I mean, you're talking 7 figures, and that is just appreciation. That's not counting cash flow or the amount of equity that they got. That is strictly on appreciation.
Yep, and being that I own it, I see it. I mean, I look at what I was worth 2 years ago versus today, and yeah, it's mind blowing how much it's changed.
And when you look at that, you have so many different options with that. I mean, you could continue to keep them. You could decide, what, I'm going to sell them and I'm going to put that money and I'm going to go buy more properties. You can, refi and take some cash out and go put that and, go buy, add to your portfolio. From what I've seen and heard recently, that this year we're expecting another pretty significant increase in appreciation. I think this year, the last I saw was somewhere like 8 to 10% again this year. So that would be over 3 years. That's in the neighborhood of 30% increase.
Yep.
That's just crazy.
And I see that people are still fighting for homes. Like I said, I run, in the mortgage industry, might just regular buyers out there trying to buy a home to live in. They can't find anything, and they're still getting outbid. So the appreciation, I agree, is still there this year. There's no inventory for people, and so until that changes, people are fighting for homes.
Yep, and so it's just a matter of you got to do the right marketing, reach the right people, because there are. It seems like there's deals are hard to find now. Is it harder than it was in say 2013 or even before then? It's probably a little bit harder, but there are still motivated sellers out there. There are people still struggling and that need to sell their house. We're actually hearing a lot that the foreclosures are back. They're starting to happen and they're starting to increase. So we really got to pay close attention to that. In fact, we have a group of us here with our students and a couple of people involved with the RIA that we're actually basically have like a foreclosure team where we're working the foreclosure list, and we're actually going to be going to the foreclosure auction on February 1st. And possibly might buy a property, we're going to be very, very, picky at the auction because you can get yourself into trouble and you can easily overpay because there's a lot that goes on down there. But if you've never been to an auction, you're just getting started, man, you got to join us or go down, find some time to go down there on your own and just check it out. Because that's also another great place to meet buyers too. If you're a wholesaler looking to build your buyers list, golden nugget alert, go to the auction, and you definitely meet some serious investor buyers down there. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing an auction tour, and kind of explaining the difference between the tax sales and mortgage sales and the different other types of sales that happen. And we're actually going to be following a couple of properties to, see if there's, one or two that we could possibly buy, or we can just see what they end up going for. Mm-hmm. So Clint, what is one last thing you want to leave our listeners with? Because we're about to wrap up, and just want to ask you that one last question. What is one thing you can leave with our listeners?
Don't be afraid. Go find the deal and then get it under contract. The financing will come. Don't worry about it. If you've got a deal, get it under contract. Worry about the financing afterward. There's pieces there. Like I said, you've got the short-term money if you're going to flip it. And the long-term, there's fairly a ton of money out there to get you a long-term. So any questions, obviously reach out to me. We're here, and I've worked with investors for a long time, so I know what the strategy is.
Well, cool. And guys, go to, again, I give our website out because I know some of you guys are on the road, or maybe you're going to go back and watch this on the, YouTube channel. But, again, massivepassiveshow.com is, really easy. Massivepassiveshow.com. You can get Clint's information. You can get Cal. You can get all of our vendors' information from the website there. So thank you, Clint. I will be looking forward to seeing you at our next meeting on February 12th and having some further conversations with you. That's going to be, we have an exciting agenda for that one planned up. We've got a few guests that are going to be joining us that are super successful in the real estate field. And we got a really great topic that you're not going to want to miss. So check our events out on massivepassiveshow.com and in our Facebook groups and everything. So thank you, Clint. I will see you on February 12th.
Yep. Thanks for having me. See you in a couple weeks.
All right. You have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right. I always love talking to money guys. Love talking to money guys because we all want money. We always want to know where to get money. Those two guys are two of the key people you need to have in your arsenal. And again, I want to go back and reiterate something that we've said a few times. The money is one of the easiest parts of the deal. Okay, if you get the right deal under contract, the money will show up. And now, are you just going to wake up one morning and the money's going to be there under your pillow? No. I mean, you still got to reach out and you got to make calls and everything, but the money will be there for the deals as long as they're deals and good deals. If you go pull something off of MLS and, you're paying full retail for it, yeah, it's probably going to be a little tougher, but if you get somebody who's in a situation and, you're able to get that house under contract for the right price, definitely it's super easy. So I want to go back and talk a little bit more about getting connected and what we do here at Alamo RIA. And then I want to talk a little bit more about an acronym that we have called CALM, which is Knowledge, Attitude, Leads, and Money. And that'll help me address, some of the questions that, I mentioned when I first got on here. But very important, get connected, whether it's us or somebody else, go to a RIA. Yes, we do prefer us, but the thing is, get connected. You got to be around people that are doing what you want to do. I talk about a rehab that I've done recently, and it was a nightmare. And, so I've been through that, and if we end up talking, face to face or on the phone, I could give you some pointers on the things that you cannot do or things that you can do and put in place where you don't have to go through what I went through. And I'm not the only one. Ray has been through it. Pat has seen it. Other investors in our RIA have seen it. So what would you rather do? You got to ask yourself, what would you rather do? Would you rather try to go out there on your own and possibly get it right? Or would you rather have experienced people who've been there, done that, wearing the t-shirt, and kind of learn from them? Now, does that guarantee that if you show up and you learn from us that, you're going to be, out there perfect and you're never going to make a mistake? No, that's not what I'm saying here. There's still going to be things happening, but what you're going to do is you're going to minimize that. There's always going to be risk in a house. I mean, even if you pay $5 for the house, there's still a risk there. Because things can always happen. But you pay $5 for a house, your risk is super, super minimal. Same thing with, surrounding yourself with people. And again, you can start building relationships. I can't tell you how many times, even on the way this morning, I was on my way in and I needed a couple of things, and I was able to pick up the phone and get a couple of things handled on my way in. And it's because of relationships. The gentleman that I reached out to has been coming to our meetings, and we've been getting to know each other, over the past few months. And so we had that relationship. I can call, and he was able to take care of something for me. If I needed somebody to go walk a house for me, I have plenty of people that I could do that. If I needed money for a deal, I have somebody that I can reach out for that. If I can go on, and it's about people that you can build relationships. And there's people that will call me for things that I can also do the same thing. It's not just about, hey, I need help, help me. It's also an opportunity for me to be available as well. That, if I need to do something for somebody, in fact, people do that quite often. They just call, hey, I need help with this, and okay, let's handle it. And so other than relationships, there's some other benefits that come along with being part of the RIA, especially a part of the national chapter of the national RIA. Alamo RIA of San Antonio and Houston are both chapters of the national RIA. And so we have several benefits that come along with that. Is one, we meet several times a month. We have our main monthly meetings, once a month in each location. And then we also have focus groups. I know two of them right offhand. One is a women's group. It's called WIRE, Women in Real Estate. They meet once a month. And there's also a landlord focus group, and that's, what they go and they talk about the different aspects and the best practices. If there's any legislation coming down, for landlords, they discuss that, and it's, solely focused. But you know what? If you're a wholesaler, you can still go because you can learn, and two, the landlords are buyers that you're looking for. So it's all about connections and relationships. We also have national vendors that provide discounts, rebate programs. Of course, everybody knows about Home Depot. They have, their pro accounts. You can get discounts, with being a member. And there's other ones like Office Depot. We have a really good relationship with Office Depot. They give us super great deals on materials that we need. And then there's a couple other ones, for example, Equity Trust, Rent Perfect is another one. Ray speaks highly of them. They help you screen your tenants and help you, keep your tenants in there, because the biggest cost for a landlord, or the biggest effect on a landlord's cash flow, is turnover and vacancy. So you want to make sure that you get the right tenants in your property. not only you want long-term tenants, but you want tenants that are going to take care of the property too. And so that is a great resource to have. And then there's Equity Trust, there's Call Fire, which is a texting, you can do a number of things with Call Fire, but it's texting and reaching out to your leads and everything. And there's a lot more. And again, if you go to MassivePassiveShow.com, it'll lead you to alamoria.org. So I don't want to give out too many directions, but MassivePassiveShow.com, that's the hub where you need to go, and that can direct you anywhere you want to go for all of our information and things that we have going on. So jumping back to if you're new or just getting started, a lot of people will ask, or I'll see people posting, hey, I'm working on accomplishing this, and then my next step is to do this, and they're listing all these things, and they're great things, they're important things, they're things that have to be done, but sometimes it's out of order, and doing things in a right order, it can help you get to where you want to go faster. And it can also have the other effect. If you do things out of order, it can definitely slow you down. So I want to kind of address, really when you're getting started, and this is from my perspective. So I'm not, just got the disclaimer out there. This is from my perspective, from my knowledge and my experience. If I was going to start over, or if I was going to give somebody, an opinion of what I think they should be working on, is, I'd be looking for an investor-friendly title company such as Transact Title, somebody who knows how to do assignment of contracts. They know how to do the creative deals like subject to and things like that, and that they can close super quick, and they know how investors work, and they do a lot of transactions. So I would get an investor-friendly title company. I would try to find a partner, a coach, or a mentor so they can be another set of eyes on your deal. I mean, I remember looking back, I've been in the business 9 years, and I remember looking back and a deal that I did where I actually didn't do the deal. I referred the deal to a realtor, and because the numbers just didn't make sense. And I even knew a little bit about creative financing. Back then, it wasn't really a huge thing like it is today, but I kind of knew a little bit about it. They had a first mortgage and a second mortgage on it. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. The numbers were thin. And so I was working with a realtor at the time, and I forwarded it to him. I said, the only thing I can think of is, they're going to, this needs to be a listing, or it's going to be a special investor that I don't have access to. And so I passed on it, and the realtor took it, and he got the listing agreement, and he put it out to his office. And within 24 hours, he actually had multiple offers, over asking, and cash, sight unseen. And this property was not a pretty property. This property needed probably back then probably about $20,000 in repairs, maybe 25. And looking back on that, if I would have had somebody else, looking over my deals, or I would have taken it to, I probably could have ended up getting that deal under contract, and I could have made me a nice little assignment fee on that. But, that's neither nor here nor there. I look back, and it's just something that I wish I would have done. And then another reason that you need to have somebody with experience on your team is they can help you with the contracts and documents. Okay, and that's pretty much it. You got somebody in your corner, you got a partner, you have a title company, and then you're out there networking, and that's good. You're good to go. The only other thing you really need to work on after that is you need to work on marketing, lead generation, getting educated, knowing the lingo, knowing the terminology, and knowing what everything is. For example, like what is an ARV? What is, 70% of ARV? What does that mean? After repair value, 70% of ARV, the ARV. And what does that mean? Why do we look at that? Okay, well, technically 70% doesn't exist, especially in today's market. But you look at that as a rule of thumb and basically kind of like a starting point of where you kind of want to target, because that's going to leave you 30%. Well, that 30% in the long run, if you're flipping it, okay, or if you're thinking like a flipper, that 30% is actually going to turn into 15% if you're doing things right. Okay, and so that's why we look at that. And so you really need to understand all that, and then you need to understand the aspects of creative finance, so that you can know how to solve people's problems. Because really, where wholesalers and investors, where they really make a living and where they really succeed, is when they understand that we're not here to make offers, we're here to solve problems. And sometimes that means we have to take over a mortgage, or sometimes we pay cash. And sometimes it's a combination of both, and there's all sorts of creative deals. So if you are not using creative financing, or you're not looking into that, you really need to, especially in today's market with the prices, because there's ways that you can actually go out there and, if you're using creative finance deals, you can go out there and eliminate 98% of your competition. Because you don't have to get that deal at 60 cents on the dollar or anything like that if you're using creative finance. So let's break down Calm really quick. I'm going to do this really super quick because I just got told we got 2 minutes. We got 3 minutes. So Calm is knowledge, attitude, leads, and money. So knowledge, what do you need to know about? You need to know how to market, generate leads, how to get in front of sellers. You got to know how to talk to sellers. You got to know how to evaluate the deals, evaluate the leads, so that you can convert them into creative deals. And you got to know how to estimate repairs, what to look for when you're walking a property, and that's basically it. It's just knowing how to evaluate properties and find properties and talk to sellers. Attitude is going out there and taking action and, getting results. You're going to do whatever it is you have to do to get results. Leads, self-explanatory, we've already talked about a little bit. Generate leads. No business can have too many leads. And money, we spend a lot of time on money. It's not necessarily having the money, but it's about knowing how the money works and how to get it, where to get it. So that's pretty much really what we have today. Hal, was there anything you feel that I left out or that I'm missing? We got about 1 minute left, and then I got to wrap up with our upcoming events.
No, the events were the one thing I was thinking we still needed to cover, because we have next week's event as well, and then we have what's coming up in February.
Actually, next weekend event has been canceled. But yeah, so February 12th, we're going to have, like I said a few minutes ago, we're going to have a few investors here, special guests coming in, and we're basically going to ask them, if you had to start over and all you had was your knowledge, how would you do that and be financially free in the next 2 years? So mark your calendars, February 12th, 8:30 to noon. Go to MassivePassiveShow.com. And again, that's MassivePassiveShow.com, and you will see all of our information there. Check us out on YouTube, check us out on Facebook, and we would love to have you. We do weekly live trainings every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Again, this is James Haney with Alamo Ria and the Massive Passive Dealmakers team. And if you're looking for a coach or a mentor, you can find that information on MassivePassiveShow.com.
So we had a countdown